My late husband left me $33 million. I told no one, not even at my daughter's wedding. Days later, her husband showed up grinning with a notary. It all started at Emma's wedding. I'd spent the morning at Martha's salon getting my hair done just right. Not too fancy, just enough to look like the respectable widow I was playing. I wore a simple gray dress, my grandmother's pearls, and a smile that said, "I'm just happy to be here." Emma, my beautiful girl, was glowing in her great-grandmother's lace gown, the one treasure our family had held onto through tough times. She hugged me and said, "Mom, you look acceptable," which, let's be honest, is the kind of compliment that feels like a participation trophy. I laughed it off, but inside, I was already feeling the sting of being sidelined. The wedding was picture perfect, but the seating arrangement, that was my first clue something was off. They stuck me at table 12 behind a floral fortress of hibiscus and baby's breath, like I was the embarrassing aunt they hoped nobody would notice. From my little jungle exile, I could barely see the dance floor, but the giant mirror across the room gave me a front row seat to the real show. The social hierarchy in action. Marcus's parents, Patricia, and her diamond-encrusted ego swept in like they owned the place. Patricia air-kissed the big shots and looked right through me like I was part of the decor. When I pointed out the delightful mistake in my seating to the usher, he just shrugged and said, "Table 12, ma'am," behind the decorative feature. Decorative feature, real diplomatic way to say we hid you. But I wasn't there to make waves, not yet. I watched Emma float down the aisle, radiant, and Marcus, her new husband, looking sharp in his tailored suit. During cocktail hour, though, I noticed something about Marcus. He had a smile for every occasion. Megawatt charm for the rich folks, polite nods for the useful ones, and a blank stare for anyone who looked like they might need something from him. That's when he turned that dazzling grin on me. "Mrs. Hartley," he said, like he was auditioning for a rom-com. "Isn't this just magical? You must be bursting with pride." "Oh, I'm practically vibrating with maternal joy," I shot back, my voice dripping with sugar and just a hint of sarcasm. "The view from here is educational." He either missed the jab or ignored it like a pro. Then he hit me with, "I was hoping we could spend some quality time together soon. Really get to know each other." I raised an eyebrow. Most people do that before marrying into the family, but I admire your unique approach. His smile flickered just for a second, but I caught it. That's when I knew Marcus Thornfield was up to something and I was about to become his next project. He suggested dinner that Thursday at some fancy downtown restaurant where the waiters probably judged you for breathing. I agreed, playing the sweet old widow, but inside I was already sharpening my claws. See, what Marcus didn't know was that I'd been keeping secrets, expensive ones. For 2 years, I'd cultivated the image of a modest coupon-clipping widow, living quietly in my late husband Robert's big old house. Nobody knew about the $33 million he'd left me, tucked away in trusts so tight, not even a Wall Street shark could crack them. Robert had been a genius at hiding our wealth, and I'd played along, dressing down, keeping my head low. But Marcus, he saw me as an easy mark, and that was his first mistake. Thursday night, I walked into that restaurant in a simple black dress, Robert's broken watch on my wrist for that extra touch of harmless. Marcus was already there, looking like he'd stepped out of a Forbes cover shoot. "Sylvia, you look radiant," he said, practically levitating with charm. I smiled. This place certainly is something. And it was. Overpriced, pretentious, the kind of joint where they charge you $20 for a glass of water with a French accent. We ordered wine, some bottle with a name longer than my marriage, and he started swirling it like he was auditioning for a wine commercial. Then he got to the point. "How are you managing life on your own?" he asked, all fake concern. "Surely it gets overwhelming. That big house, all those decisions." I could have laughed. He was fishing with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer. "Oh, Robert always said I had enough opinions for 3 people, I replied. "I keep myself entertained." He chuckled, that polished boardroom laugh, and leaned in. "But seriously, don't you worry about finances, legal issues, people who might take advantage of your generous spirit?" There it was, the real topic, dressed up in crocodile tears. "Should I be worried about something specific, Marcus?" I asked, sipping my wine. He pulled out a manila folder with a flourish, like he was presenting the Nobel Prize. "Just some basic paperwork," he said. "Safeguards in case you ever need assistance making decisions." I opened the folder, and my heart didn't even skip. Power of attorney, financial oversight, a medical decision-making authority, all the tools to strip me of control while pretending to care. "This is comprehensive," I said, channeling my inner Southern belle. "My lawyer specializes in elder care," he replied. "Smooth as silk. He's handled many cases like yours. Cases like mine, like being a widow was some rare disease." I closed the folder, smiled, and said, "This requires careful consideration." His face lit up like he'd just closed a deal. "Of course, take your time, though my attorney says prompt action is advisable." Prompt action. Before I could talk to anyone with a brain. "I'll review it with my own lawyer," I said, and his smile flickered again. "Your own lawyer?" he repeated, like I'd just admitted to owning a spaceship. "Oh, yes," I said sweetly. "I know it seems silly, but I'd feel more comfortable having someone explain it to my simple mind." That's when I dropped the bomb. "Your notary will understand that important decisions shouldn't be rushed, right?" His jaw tightened. "How did you know about the notary?" I shrugged. "Lucky guess, you seem like a guy who plans ahead." For the first time, Marcus looked at me like he was seeing me. Not the harmless widow, but something else, something dangerous. He didn't know it yet, but he'd just stepped into a trap I'd been setting for years. The next few days were quiet, but I could feel Marcus's impatience crackling through the phone when Emma called, gushing about how thoughtful he was, always planning for their financial security. "How romantic," I I said, my sarcasm flying right over her head. By Wednesday, I was ready. I'd spent the day doing widow things, dusting Robert's books, tending my roses, and wondering what Marcus was planning behind that charming smile. Thursday night, he called, suggesting we meet at my house. More private, he said. Easier to review documents in a comfortable setting. Translation, no witnesses. When he showed up, briefcase in hand, I was ready. Simple gray dress, minimal jewelry, the perfect costume for the role I'd been playing. He spread his papers across my coffee table like a poker player laying down a winning hand. I brought case studies, he said, of families who benefited from these arrangements. I nodded, then turned the tables. Before we talk about other people's stories, Marcus, tell me about yours. What qualifies you to manage my life? His confidence wavered. I have business experience, he stammered. Investment management. For which firm? I pressed. Various positions, he said, vague as fog. I kept pushing. How many elderly people had he helped? How many had requested his guidance? The room went quiet, except for my grandmother's clock ticking like a heartbeat. Sylvia, I think there's a misunderstanding, he said, but I cut him off. Oh, I understand perfectly. I understand you target vulnerable widows, gain their trust, and convince them to sign away their rights. His mask cracked. You're making serious accusations. I'm making serious observations, I shot back, about a predator who made a serious mistake. He froze. What mistake? I leaned in, my voice low and sharp, assuming I was just another helpless widow. Then I dropped the hammer. I've been recording this conversation, Marcus. I have a private investigator documenting your activities. My attorney is preparing criminal charges. His face went white, like someone had drained the blood from his body. You can't prove anything, he stammered. Oh, I can prove everything, I said. Your gambling debts, your pattern of targeting elderly women, all of it. He went still. How do you know about that? I smiled, channeling every ounce of steel Robert had taught me. You're not the first charming young man to try this. But this time, I was ready. I gave him a choice. Leave voluntarily or in handcuffs. He grabbed his papers, hands shaking, and muttered, this isn't over. But it was. The next morning, I went to the basement where Robert's safe waited behind a hidden panel. Inside were bank statements, investment records, and a letter in his handwriting that broke my heart and rebuilt it stronger. My dearest Sylvia, it began, if you're reading this, someone's trying to take advantage of you. I'm sorry I never told you about the money. $33 million, all yours, protected so you'd be safe from predators. I sat in his old chair, tears streaming down my face. Robert had known this day would come. He'd armed me for a war I didn't even see coming. I called Carol Peterson, the lawyer Robert had left me, and we got to work. Carol laid out the trust papers. $33 million, untouchable by anyone but me. Marcus's plan was dead in the water. But we didn't stop there. We set a trap. I called Marcus playing the shaky widow, saying I'd reconsidered and wanted to sign his papers. He took the bait, showing up with a notary and a smile that screamed victory. Hidden cameras caught every word as he pushed me to sign away my life. This is for your protection, he said, as if I was too old to know better. I signed the first page, then paused. Marcus, what happens to my money after this? His eyes lit up with greed. It'll be professionally managed, he said. By people like you? I asked. That's when the police stepped in. You're under arrest, they said, and his face crumpled like cheap paper. The news hit like a wildfire. Local businessman arrested in elder fraud sting. Marcus's perp walk was on every channel, his charm replaced by panic. Emma was devastated, sobbing, Mom, what have you done? I showed her the recordings, the financial records, the proof that her husband was a predator who targeted her own mother. He was going to put me in a nursing home, I told her. He was going to steal everything your father left me. She filed for divorce the next week. The trial was a slaughter. The recordings, the evidence, the pattern of targeting elderly widows, it was undeniable. The jury took 47 minutes to find him guilty. The judge sentenced him to 18 years, saying, you preyed on trust and destroyed lives. As they led him away, Marcus glared at me. This isn't over, old woman. I smiled. Yes, it is. But it wasn't just about Marcus. My case cracked open a nationwide elder fraud ring. With Robert's $33 million, I funded a victim advocacy program that recovered $80 million for 93% of Marcus's victims. We arrested 67 people, convicted 49, and made criminals think twice before targeting another widow. They started calling it the Thornfield disaster, warning each other about the risks of a Sylvia Hartley situation. I even got a Medal of Freedom for it, standing in the White House telling predators on national TV, we're watching and we're angry. Find a new line of work.